Good morning, everyone. Once again, welcome. I'm your favorite YouTuber, and I'm back to driving again. Yay! So, actually, today the weather is really nice. Earlier I saw a few horses. I don't know why they were there, but that was pretty nice. Anyway, so let's dive straight right into business. And also, I want to make the video short. So, okay. So, what I want to talk about today is one of the most important factors when it comes to learning languages, and that's grammar. I wouldn't say recently, but for like past few years, I don't know when this whole trend started, but for some reason, these experts and so-called polyglots, hyper polyglots, all these people, they like to really shit on grammar. I don't understand that sentiment, but I've been seeing that a lot. I don't know, for some reason they seem to rank grammar very low in importance when it comes to learning languages, and that is something I disagree with wholeheartedly, and I will tell you why. So let's start with a little analogy, okay? So if you are about to build a car, you have all these components like wheels, the steering wheels, the lever, the gear stick, the gear, the engine. You have everything on the table, but you don't have nuts and bolts to put them all together. So whatever you have there, you can find creative ways to use them to move around. You can roll yourself on the wheel or something, but you will not be able to assemble a car and use the car as intended without these nuts and bolts. So these small components are like very integral to car, and grammar is like that. Grammar is these nuts and bolts, and without grammar your language is at best broken. And that is why grammar is extremely important, and I just can't wrap my hand around the idea of people telling not to learn grammar or not to focus on grammar at all. Some people go all the way to extreme. Just listen and you'll just learn shit, and I really don't get that. So what do I say? I say if you learn a language, doesn't matter which system you want to take, doesn't matter which method you want to try, please do whatever you do as usual, but please commit your time on the side to focus and learn on the grammar, because grammar is not just about how to make correct sentences. Grammar is about understanding the mechanical aspects of the language as well as the nature of the language. And if you want to dive deep into linguistic, these grammars not only just show the structure of the languages, but it also even comes with the history. You can start seeing that, this language grammar is borrowed from that language, and it can get really interesting and fascinating, not to mention important. So please don't ignore it. Just don't ignore it. Please learn grammar. Of course, when I say please learn grammar, I'm talking about like at least at the beginning, focus on the essential grammar. And essential grammar is not just how to make present tense, not just knowing the basic cases, not like that. Like, grammar can get a bit extensive. I'm talking about essential here. Essential grammars can get quite extensive, and trust me, spending a little of your time learning them, understanding them, and knowing how to use them will take you a very long way in your language journey, especially in the long run. And I can't stress enough that. So please do not ignore that. So secondly, I want to give another analogy, right? Grammar is like language is like jazz music. It's actually very similar to jazz music. And the reason I'm saying jazz music here, not music in general, is because you see, in jazz music we like to meme and we like to make jokes about the idea that they're just playing wrong notes. And to be fair, you're not wrong. In jazz, you play a lot of wrong notes that are not supposed to be in particular group or particular scales. But the thing is that once you see jazz players playing all these wrong notes, they are not doing it randomly. They're not just doing it by feel. Even those that say they're doing it by feel, at one point they're improvising, they are basically building upon this knowledge and understanding that they have accumulated for a long time. And that is the idea of language and grammar. So, in a language, if you listen to the native speaking a language, you will notice that there are a lot of mistakes, especially like grammatical mistake, omission, all these things. You will notice a lot of them there. But they are not wrong. And that is why it's very difficult, listening is very difficult, especially when you start talking with natives, because there are rules in the language that a lot of natives, maybe even all of natives sometimes, just break. And the thing is that they break them correctly. They break them correctly. And that is what knowing grammar will do and can do for you. Understanding how the language structure works. Not every mistake is equal. I can say a sentence in English with plenty of mistakes and it will be perfect. It will make perfect sense and it will be perfectly and conventionally acceptable to use and even commonly used in a lot of cases. And I can also make a sentence that are incorrect and they just sound weird and they're just incorrect. And that is why, learning language is not just black and white, like just what is right or wrong. And it's one of those things that you just can't just absorb in passively and expect to know the language. For me, I know that I sound like a purist. Well, technically I am to a certain level. Is that if you can't, just because you can hold a conversation with a native, doesn't mean you know the language, doesn't mean you speak the language. Even if you hold the entire conversation and use that, but you're not switching language, you're only using that language, doesn't always mean that you actually know or can speak the language. I know a lot of people that live in, for example, right now in Japan, they live here for 20 something years. They don't really speak proper Japanese. They can get away with, they can sit because they understand, the words and vocabularies, and they can just understand it from the context, and they also mime and speak. They're saying every single word they say is Japanese, but you can tell that, okay, these guys don't know Japanese. And that is not just Japanese, of course. This is with every language, right? So that, which means that, if you say that, if I can sit and hold a conversation in a foreign language, I know the language, you are setting the bar way too low. You are doing a disservice for yourself, and you're doing a disrespect for the language itself. I think I might sound a bit harsh, but that's that's my opinion. That's what I think. So yeah, overall, that's why it's like jazz music. Not every wrong note sounds like jazz, because jazz music, well, conventionally speaking, play a lot of wrong notes, but they play them correctly, and they know what they are doing. They understand the wrong notes that they are playing, and you really can't just compare it to any, you can't just downplay that. That's the thing. And that is why, in conclusion, I want people to stop downplaying grammar and just bloody learn it. You're already learning the language. You already focus on whatever you're doing. Just take half an hour extra for every session every study session, and just learn the grammar, understand the grammar. And if anybody tells you that grammar is not that important, you don't need to learn grammar, do yourself a favor and ignore them. All right, so that's pretty much it from my side. So I think, okay, 9 minutes, that's pretty cool. That's up to 10 minutes, yay. Okay, it's pretty short today. Okay, so and also if you want to hear about what my thoughts on automatic language growth or other methods, you can find some video somewhere up here. So all right, bye, go away.